So you get a handicap?
Yeah, and I was shooting great. I was only a stroke behind whatever Brian shot on that course, and then I six putted, and I quit.
Okay, Skip.
I rage quit. At least I think Skip was on the fringe and took a 6-iron and hit it into the water. He had a real life moment in a video game. So, you probably don't. My face is super red. There's actually kind of a funny story behind that. In that photo, my face is really red.
Really?
Yeah, because I thought I was putting lotion on my face for like 3 straight nights.
Oh no.
And I was putting body wash on it before bed. And I woke up that morning. I woke up that morning and Mal was like, "Why is your face so red?" I was like, "I have no idea." I was stopping drug scandal.
Is that recent?
Yeah. I heard it's good. But on Twitter, I searched it and it's good. So,
I'm on that. I haven't seen
how to
that.
fix a drug scandal. That's what it is.
Is it a documentary?
Yep.
Is it a show? Documentary?
It's a documentary.
I have a hard time talking.
So that's on there. Money Heist and All American.
All American Jace watches and loved it. But I have
I watched the
an
first
automatic
episode.
defense mechanism to anything he suggests. I don't know why. It's not fair.
The first episode was decent. Like,
Yeah.
decent enough for me to say I'll keep watching a couple and see where it goes.
Have you ever done that with shows and not go back though? I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like in the middle of like 10, 20 shows.
I stopped.
Well, I may not even go back. So we got Kevin Millington. Kevin Millington. We're gonna interview him. You know him.
Yeah,
You know anything about him?
I know that he's South Portland voice coach.
Yeah, that's
and
about
has
it.
had some pretty good teams.
Yeah.
But
I've known him since I was 22 years old. So I've known him a long time. Hilarious guy. Probably one of my favorite coaches. Just whenever we get together, it's easy. It's very little. It's very little serious basketball talk and more. You can take your coach's cap off with him. You know what I mean? It's not. You can take the coach's cap off with him and just talk basketball. I can talk about our teams. You can talk about his teams. But if you had a hidden camera, you wouldn't think it was 2 basketball coaches talking.
Yeah.
A lot of good conversations for sure.
you set up a scrimmage when I was coaching
Yeah.
Jay. It must have been late 90s-ish.
Yep. You had
Tyrell and Derek, Armady, Dano.
your best player was a kid that moved away at that time. Your best player during that scrimmage.
Ballard? That was
Yes,
early then.
yes.
That was really early.
Yes,
That was
Ballard was your best player on that team.
Right.
That was I remember going and watching it, obviously.
right, yep.
Yeah, that was at Windham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was just a scrimmage, so I think we competed, but I remember the Ginn kid.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, he, it's funny, the 2 times I've been on the McDonald's teams were the 2 times that he was on the McDonald's teams. I've been there twice, and I've been with him both times.
Yeah.
Which made it so much better to have someone like him on there, because there was never any nervousness or anything going up to the practices or the banquet. So it'll be a fun interview. I'm looking forward for him to share his story. I know most of it, but it's going to be cool to hear him tell it to everybody.
So, Coach Millington, thanks for joining us today. The first question I got for you is the COVID-19. Obviously, it's wreaked havoc on all of us. I'm just curious on how you and your family and your job and what you're doing to cope the best you can.
Yeah, well, it's actually a little bit. We're doing great. I mean, we're blessed. First of all, like both my wife and I have jobs and we're getting paid, and we live on a street with cul-de-sacs, and our son can ride up and down his bike and everything. So we're doing great. I don't know if you know this though, but my wife does work for the CDC in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she had been deployed to Los Angeles for 2.5 weeks, and she was screening the passengers coming in from overseas, particularly China. And then when she came back, she had to be on a mandatory CDC 14-day quarantine. Today is day 14. So and she has no symptoms, so we're all good. But
Wow.
that was pretty it was a little, we were a little worried when she was gone, but she's home now. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I know you very well. We go back 20 plus years.
Sure.
But I want you to explain to the viewers. I know you got started at a very young age in coaching. I want you to explain to the viewers kind of your road from
Sure.
graduate at SOPO and how your road got you to where you are right now, back at your alma mater.
Yeah, sure. I think probably growing up, I was an average player at pretty much every sport I played. Good enough to play. I wasn't riding the pine. Got a chance to start and play all the sports I played, but I was probably much more of a coach. More interested in the coaching part of it when I played. Probably annoyed my coaches in that sense. I probably did more coaching than I did playing. And probably I understood the games a little bit better, but my physical limitations prevented me from really succeeding at those sports. So I went to college. I went to American University in DC. I was there for 2 years, studying political science. My other passion, history, and transferred back. It was just a weird thing. I just started at USM, and I got a job. I don't know if you know Mackenzie Holmes.
Yeah.
Her mom is from South Portland, and she used to babysit me when I was little, and she used to run the Athlete's Foot store. If you remember the old Athlete's Foot out of the mall, and so she was the manager there, and I got hired just working retail at mall at night. But she was the women's coach at Windham at the time, and her husband was, Lenny was at the time when we were married, was the men's coach. And she said, "Hey, my husband needs a 7th grade coach, and you interested?" And that was I don't even know if I had turned 20 yet. I might have been just turned 20. And I thought, well, that'd be something pretty cool to do while you're in college, right? That's a nice job while you're in college. And as you know, I was also bartending, so I had this kind of good schedule. I worked late at night. I went to school in the morning, and I had these kind of afternoons off. So I started coaching the 7th grade at Windham. That was eventually the class of '99 at Windham. I coached them when they were in 7th grade. The following year, I moved up to the 9th grade. So 2 years later, I had those same kids again. And then I went to South Portland for a year to coach their freshman team. And then I went back to Windham as their varsity coach. And it was a 97-98 season, and I had those guys as juniors now in the varsity team, and then again as seniors. So pretty much their whole career of basketball, they had me as their coach, which I'm not sure they loved. But
Millie, who were some of the players that out of that group?
In that class, Danny Ginn, you remember the Ginns, Stevie's older brother. Danny was tremendous. Remember there was an article about Danny in '99. Right after we played Portland, Tom Chard was covering the game. Now, Portland had Pillsbury and Anthony Russo and those guys on the team, and Danny had 33 in the game, and just was tremendous. And we hung around. We almost beat him.
I was at that game.
Yeah, I think that's right. You and Johnny, and because Johnny was helping me then. Yeah,
that's right.
But the article in the paper the next day was the best kept secret in the SMAA. And Danny had, he had 35 against Coach Brown's matchup at Bonnie Eagle. He had 33 against Westbrook. He just put up some big numbers. He's a great player, kind of an
super kid.
Well, valedictorian. Super smart. I remember asking Coach Costigan when he was at USM, how come you're not recruiting him? And he said, I'd have to make him president of the university to come here. So he ended up playing at Bowdoin. Had a pretty good career at Bowdoin. But so he was Jeff Duard. I don't know if you're familiar with Bryce Duard. His dad, Jeff, was just a war horse, just a great, tough kid. So there was I have those guys, that class, it's kind of a soft spot for me, even though their kids are coming through now. There was kind of a special group. So, that was 97, 98 when they were juniors. BJ Pulkinen, the older brother of Chad, who's the Windham coach now, was on my first team. And then it was 18 years later. I had coached at Windham for 18 years, so saw a lot happen in those times. And then 2015 16 season, finally came back home to South Portland. So,
right.
It's a long journey, but there's not many stops along the journey.
No, you coached football while you were at Windham too, correct? State championship, Is that right?
Yeah, well, I was actually I started the program. I was their first ever head coach.
That's right. That's right.
And I did that for 3 years from 99, 2000, and 2001. And then the realization of coaching, 2 varsity sports, and not the easiest 2 to coach. I don't know how Hathaway does it. I couldn't really be in the weight room during the winter. So I stepped away. We brought in a new guy, Matt Perkins, who's still there now. I sat out a year thinking they don't need the old head coach being around the team. And then Coach Perkins asked me to come back. And then, I was there for another 11 years. And we won a state championship in 2009. Yeah.
Right. Who's the big football player on that team? What was the running back?
We had two great. With Jack Malice won the Fitzy.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Tremendous. We had Jackson Taylor, who was a great quarterback.
Yeah.
And I also coached football at South Portland in '96 and won a state championship. That was with like Timmy Lawson and Jason Cook and those guys. So those are the 2 rings I got. Yeah, Wolf Graham. He was the head coach. Yeah. And I obviously played for Coach Wolf Graham. So.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool story, man. We got and there's a lot of sub stories in there, and we will leave the bartending ones out of it.
Right. Sure. I remember some kids hanging out at SMCC at the bar. I'm not sure they were of age.
I actually think the first time I ever met you was at down on Commercial Street. I went in with Johnny, and he introduced us when you were working. Your brother owned the bar, I believe, at the time.
Yeah. Angie's.
Yeah, Angie's. That's enough of that. I think Zach's got a question, or Chris. Yeah.
So obviously you were at Windham for a very long time. You say 16 years?
18.
18 years. So obviously you're from South Portland. So coaching-wise, what's the biggest difference from coaching at Windham and now coaching at South Portland? What's the biggest difference?
Well, certainly, talent. I think I'm a better coach just from doing it, than I was way back in 97, 98. I think you learn a lot as you get going, but I don't think I'm that much better of a coach, but all of a sudden now we win a lot of games. I think that that screams talent. We've had, been very fortunate to have some really talented athletic kids, but probably one of the things that stood out to me, all the years at Windham, and I know you guys have been coaching a long time too. I started to think that competitiveness was gone in today's age kids. Like I just remember growing up being like hyper competitive about everything I did. And, I have 2 older brothers and certainly all my buddies in South Portland. And I was just, always trying to get it out of the Windham kids. It was a little bit refreshing, not to say there aren't some very competitive Windham kids, but the South Portland kids across the board. I don't have to motivate at all in practice. They are all grinders, just competitive. And I know, Scott, I know you know a lot of those guys, but, the guys that you grew up with, but they're just, practice is easy. Because and we're also so talented that my second team and third team, we practice with our JVs. Not a lot of schools can do that. Our JVs, there's 5 or 6 kids usually on our JV team that are as good as anybody's varsity team. We could compete with a lot of teams that way. So they get a lot out of it, and our kids, we really battle, and I don't have to create that. That's not something I can take credit for. So
sure.
So from my understanding, you grew up playing at South Portland at a time that it was kind of a dominant juggernaut type program. What was that experience like?
Well, I'll put it this way. They won the state championship in basketball in the 5 overtime game in 1992. I graduated in 1991. They won the football state championship in the fall of 92, which is actually the next year after the basketball. So I missed out on that one too. We had some just a lot. Really you can go back to the late 70s, mid 70s, and all the way through the mid 90s. It was just an incredible run of talent. I actually started in the basketball side. You're still seeing that now. So really, when you think of the last 40 years, there's a window of maybe like 04 to 07 where they really weren't very good. But otherwise, it's just been so much talent, so many good players. We haven't won a state championship, and that's obviously the one that's kind of hanging out there. But yeah, back in the early 90s, there's just a lot of great players, and I used to think South Portland they graduated 7 or 8 kids, and I would sit there and go, yeah, you don't have any idea how good those 7 or 8 kids on JV. They're better. The kids that are at some other schools that have been playing since their freshman and sophomore year, they're not better than the kids that are playing JV for us.
Right.
I tell my kids that now all the time. I said to my freshmen and sophomores, you want to go to Noble or Massabesic, no disrespect to them, but you could probably start right away. It's gonna have to wait your turn here.
Yep. So this could be a tough one. Your all-time South Portland starting five.
Let's hear it, Millie.
It's not hard. It's not as hard as you think. There are some.
You know most of them. You know most of them.
I mean, I can go back pretty far. I mean, I think point guard is no question. It's Brett Brown. He was All-American. Went to BU. I think Chris Sawyer is the best player that I played with, and arguably the best pure player. He could score in so many different ways. He could score from the perimeter, shoot the three, post you up.
He made the Hall of Fame this year, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so that was a big deal. Keegan Highland, Keegan, you don't get a scholarship to Gonzaga if you're not pretty darn good.
Right.
And I know he didn't stay there, but still. There's a kid that played in their mid '80s that I would start a team with, Mark Holtenhoff. He was just an absolute animal. He was one of the, back in those days, nobody ever made varsity as a sophomore at South Portland. And he was he's the only kid I can remember really in the 1980s that made it. And he was just really, really, he reminded me of like a Tyler Hansborough kind of player. Just if the ball was coming off the rim and there were 5 guys there, it was going to be his. Kenny Lynch, is in the conversation. He's also getting the Hall of Fame this year. Can you imagine Brett Brown and Kenny Lynch playing on the same team? I know I'm going past 5.
That's okay.
But Chris Markwood, and John Wassenberg. I mean, those two probably are top 5 players. They both are unique in the sense that they only play. Well, Chris came in as a freshman, and but he wasn't from South Portland. But great player. Obviously went to Notre Dame initially, and then Was may be the best all-around player. He only played 1 year there, but he was obviously, he came and spoke to my kids one day, and I said to him, you scored 1,000 points at St. Joe's, right? He looked at me and he goes, 2,000. And he played, professional ball in 7 countries, so he did pretty well for himself. So, the list goes on. We're not even talking about Jeff Bowers and some of these other Dave Cousins and stuff like that. So, there's just a lot of players. It's hard.
Yeah, you're on this. You gotta save it. Your favorite hobbies outside coaching basketball?
Well, I don't know if history is a hobby. I mean, I'm a history teacher and I'm a history nerd, so I like to read about history. I wish I read more than I do, but I that's probably it. I love golfing, but I'm terrible like everybody else.
I witnessed it.
Yeah. I was
been a while though.
I mean, you can let the courses open. I've never been anywhere near 6 feet from anybody.
That's good stuff.
I'm a pretty social guy, and I heard your questions, the this and that questions with.
It's coming. I know.
Is it the same questions?
No.
Oh well, good.
Some of them.
All right. Well, so like some of the ones you said, I'm like, I'll only give one example, but Xbox or PlayStation. I thought to myself, I'd never played either one of them.
We eliminated that because I knew that was going to be the answer.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's because it's the same thing with the billiards and darts one, is that I'm such a social guy that I don't like it when people start playing those games because I don't know one to talk to.
Right. Well, I remember Johnny used to get upset when we would be out because me and you, when I started coaching at Chevrolet, whenever we'd go to Dock 4 with a group, me and you would be in the corner for like an hour and a half just talking hoops.
Just talking hoops.
Hoops.
So I guess that's my favorite hobby of all is to shoot the breeze and just, talk hoops, talk whatever.
You're very good at it.
I think my kids are sick of listening to it, but that's what my wife is.
It's true. We ought to get on Zoom more often just to talk hoops.
I know, definitely.
All right. So before we get into this or that, I just want your take on where you think the state of high school hoops is for the state of Maine. Things you would like to see different, without getting into too much trouble, some of the regulations, shot clock, not a shot clock, stuff like that. Just the state of the hoops, high school hoops in the state of Maine.
Sure.
Officiating.
Yeah. Well, let's start there. I mean, I think that the officiating this past season, they at least attempted to be better. I don't think you can change something overnight, but there was a lot more, at least down in our end, there was a lot more communication. They would stand next to you and talk to you and stuff like that. And that was a big issue before. Like, they make a call and run off to the other side, and you know. So I appreciate that some of the efforts they made. You know, the whole, you know, we were on the other end of that dunking. You know,
Yeah.
Scarborough was dunking on us when it happened, and
Yeah.
you know, it was silly. And I'm glad they've kind of said, you know, we're gonna just, you know, if it's unsportsmanlike, we're gonna call it. Otherwise, we're not gonna call it. So I think they tried to make some efforts to improve there. My only thing with officiating is I've been around long enough to when I first started, you know, the real sort of fathers of a Maine officiating were still officiating, like Jack Coyne and Eddie Manning and, you know, Gary Agger and those guys. And, you know, they handled the game very well. The kids played the game very well. They talked to the kids. They talked to you. But probably the most important thing they did is they were a team, those guys out on the court, and they all officiated the game the same way. And you couldn't criticize one official to the other official. And I find that I do it sometimes. I'm like, hey, what's up with this guy over here? And then the officials say, I don't know. You know, they don't get assigned that way. And it was particularly evident to me in the tournament every year. You get three guys out there that either never ref together before, and you know, I don't want to complain about our regional final game, but you've got three refs who I know haven't refed really together, and they were calling three different games. One guy that we had never seen ref a Southern Maine game all year. I just don't see how that's effective. And you know, there was, you know, you could really complain to one about the other, and they were all sort of not, you know, throwing the other one under the bus. And that's my only knock with officiating. I'd like to see them to assign teams, guys that work well together, because the game is better. I mean, I think if you have a game and you have two guys that, you know, call it tight and don't listen to coaches, at least you know you have two guys who call it tight and don't listen to coaches. But having one who calls it tight and one who doesn't, that can be very challenging. It's a very hard adjustment for kids and for coaches. You know, the shot clock, you know, it's just such a wasted argument. It's, I mean, I would love to have it. It would be great to teach it, but you know, it's only in like 8 states or something like that. Yeah, it's just, I don't know why we waste time having the conversation. I don't care if people say, oh, it's about money. It's just, it's not enough of an important issue. It would help teach the game. I would love to be able to teach the situation on the clock, and then certainly in the fourth quarter, you know, we in the tournament, because I had a really good team, obviously, and we could eat the ball at 3 or 4 minutes. We had, you know, 5 athletes on the floor. So they would take that away. I mean, you play within the rules. If the rules are allowing you to do that, you're going to do it. So I would like to see it for that, but I think it's a pipe dream. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. You know, the quality of play, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I think the worst thing that's ever happened to the game of basketball is a 3-point line. If it's at all levels, the scoring is down. And, you know, I tell my kids all the time, Ray Allen shot 40% for a career from 3. That's arguably the best 3-point shooter ever to play the game, and he missed 6 out of 10. So what does that say for you guys? So we waste a lot of shots. Now, we didn't shoot a lot this year. We were probably the lower end of attempts. But I just think there's so many shots at 3, and I know all the analytics now say shoot more 3s and you can play that game. That works if you make them, a lot of them. But in high school basketball in Maine, how many kids in your team can consistently shoot a 3 or is a threat? And I think if you go back and watch an old mid-'80s game between the Celtics and the Lakers, and watch the shooting percentage, even in college basketball in the 80s, I know they were better players because those guys stayed for 4 years, but the shooting percentages were way higher than they are now. The shooting percentage is so low, and that's really the prime factor in why scoring is down, because we shoot so many bad shots. I'd have a game with your kids and have a 15-foot jumper game and play horse. You know, no one would make it. They can't make a 15-footer. So
yeah, they don't shoot them.
No,
they're like, what is this?
Right. They even look funny doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would like to, otherwise I'm not one of those people that thinks the game in Maine is just trending bad. I mean, I'm not that, I think it's been pretty consistent. This year there was some pretty good teams. There wasn't a lot of like super individual players, like, scholarship level players, but there's some pretty good teams, or at least down in Southern Maine. If you looked at in our league, Thornton Academy was great. We were very good. Bonnie Eagle was very good. Gorham was good. Sanford and Scarborough were both pretty good. And then you had Edward Little and Deering, Bangor. So that's quite a few talented teams in A. And then in Southern and in Class A South, Falmouth was tremendous. York was tremendous. Kennebunk was very good. So, there was just a lot of good teams. So I just I don't know if I buy into that basketball's worse than it was. I think we always like to think that it was better before and everything, but I don't know how true that is.
Sure.
I will say the one thing about quality of basketball, or quality of players, you talk about AAU and you talk about in 1989, there were, Chris Sawyer was a full boat to Bentley. Adam Ward was a full boat to Notre Dame. Francois Bouchard, full boat to University of Maine. John Conley went to Dartmouth from Morse. And then you had Raymond Alley. That's your top five right there. You also had Greg Frame in that class who went to Dartmouth, went to year prep. But there was no AAU back then. So you tell me if AAU exposes kids more now, and talent exposes itself. AAU is just a vehicle in which college coaches can see you now. They used to see you in a different way. But it has done nothing in terms of changing that kind of talent. And I'm not knocking AAU. There's a place for it. But it's just talent is talent.
No, well said. Well said.
I think you've already touched on it a little bit, but what's the future of South Portland hoops?
We're blessed. We should be very, very good next year. We could be even better if certain things happen. We've got 4 or 5 players back from last year's team. We have a freshman last year who was as good as any freshman in Maine. We had a sophomore as good as any sophomore in Maine. And a couple of good juniors coming back as seniors next year, and then our 8th grade group coming in as freshmen is really, really, really talented. So no need to feel bad for us. Probably going to get a bullseye on our back. So I don't underestimate my ability to screw it up. But
so we're going to, get a little bit more relaxed here. So I just want a straight answer of. Where does Riley Hassan's dad rate as far as like a parent?
He's the best. Well, because he's the only one. I know you want me to crap on him, but it's easier to. and Chris will tell you this. It's easier to crap on Riley. Riley was.
He does.
Yeah, look, and that's what he does. Usually when you go to a parent, you kind of say, hey, your kid did this, your kid's doing this, and he's the one coming to me. He's like, Riley is just such a unique kid. He's the most unique kid I've ever been around. He didn't really like basketball. He just liked to compete. And if we were playing a bad team, I'd have to take him out of the game, and he would sit next to me on the bench, and he'd just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I'd finally just put him back in the game. I can't take it anymore. And Chris knew that about him. So, how Chris's sense of humor too. But he was, Chris was he was easy. Cause he also, you ever seen Chris at a game? He sits like in the opposite corner of everybody else. And doesn't really talk to anybody. And he rarely talked to me unless he had to. So he doesn't do boosters, and he doesn't really do banquets and stuff like that. So
he just owns Twitter. He
just owns Twitter. Well, and he's passing that down. I don't know if you noticed, Connor's quite active on Twitter too.
Yeah.
I guess it's in their blood. But I guess I'm a passionate. I guess if you.
Yes, we all are. We gotta make sure. Meter.
Oh, all right, yeah. So if there were no sports, no education, nothing like that, what would you be doing for a career?
You said no education, so I can't teach either.
No, you can't teach, you can't coach.
Can't be involved in school.
Well, I would follow in my father's footstep and be a philosopher. I'm not sure there's much money in it, but I don't know. I originally went to school for political science. I didn't enjoy that much when I was in DC, but I ended up graduating with a degree in communications. So I would, I'm very interested in the theoretical side of communications. I would be interested in public relations kind of stuff. Wouldn't necessarily want to be like a disc jockey or a newspaper reporter, but I wouldn't mind. But I used to write a column for the local paper, so that was fun too. So maybe do something like that as well.
Cool. All right, Millie, it's time for this or that.
All right.
The first one, I think this one, because most of these things are going to be all sports people.
All right.
So MJ or LeBron?
Not even close. MJ. I don't know how anyone argues it. He never went to Game 7.
Preach it.
That guy over there, I can tell.
He's young, never watched MJ.
That's right.
This is about you, not me.
Spotlight. Tiger or Phil?
Tiger.
UNC or Duke?
Well, I am one of the rare people that does like them both, but my wife did her residency at Duke, and she'd kill me if I didn't say Duke, so I'll say Duke.
That hurts. Hellman's or Miracle Whip?
It's got to be the real thing, right? Mayonnaise.
You've already answered this. Shot clock or no shot clock?
I would say shot clock, but I just don't think it's coming.
I'm not doing that one. Friends or Seinfeld?
Again, that's like MJ and LeBron. Seinfeld's MJ.
Yeah. Call or text?
Probably text, but I like calling too.
Twitter or Facebook?
Well, I'm only on Twitter, so.
Me too. Craft beer or domestic beer?
Well, craft beer for taste, domestic beer for quantity.
Okay. Well said. Going to the movies, you getting candy or you getting popcorn?
Popcorn.
And I probably ought to know the answer to this. Joe Exotic or Carol Baskin?
I think that's the Tiger King, which is in my queue, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. When you do get a chance to watch it, hit us up on Twitter, hashtag this or that. Promise?
Right. We will, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Millie, this was a lot of fun. I knew it would be. You're one of my favorite people. Definitely one of my favorite coaches. I appreciate it.
And that good luck to you guys. I think this is great. I hope you get some. I'm looking forward to some great guys. We need help to get anybody too. You got to get
we'll do.
You got to get Russo on there. He's always entertaining. So.
Absolutely. I'll definitely be using your services to lock some people up for sure.
Excellent. All right, guys.
All right, Millie. Thanks, bud.
Versus.
No, but I mean, as far as like putting in names, we can take some out and put them in. Right, shuffling's gonna be way easier. That's why it's gonna be on a spreadsheet. Just make a new doc.
You're talking to me this whole time? Yeah. I thought you were explaining to him.
Well, you're typing in this. That's a Word document, though.
Yeah,
but we can work on it. Like, just put it in the doc as a note. And
that's why I put it in the doc as a note.
And we can make a spreadsheet. That's what you guys get to. Oh my god, I touched you. Get the day off tomorrow. Yeah, everybody does, because Snowerfoot. I don't. But when's it start? When's it start? So I got this segment idea. And I think I don't know about a name. Game time. And I'm thinking that we each take turns playing a certain round or life on an Xbox game. Take turns. Make it a competition. Like in my mind, I'm thinking a Call of Duty match, a bot match, a couple minutes long, and each of us take turns, and whoever gets the most kills wins. Whoever gets the least coach has to have some sort of consequence, and then we can do, a 3-point shooting contest on NBA 2K. We can do a par 3 contest on a golf game. We can do a home run derby on a baseball game. Something to play the Xbox. Call it game time.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm not a gamer, so.
I only have
Free for all. You're on your own. minutes.
No ammo left.
7 bullets left. Go to a pistol. Now he's all banged up.
Where'd you go?
Wow, sneaky. Throw it behind you.
What's time left?
Nose break. Ooh, that's a big last one as well.
All movement confirmed.
I can't wait for this, honestly. Like, we gave out most entertaining award.
Oh yeah, no question.
There was a bloopers reel, which there might be.
Not a game. Come on. Get that free one. Hopefully it gives you the loadout too. Nice. Any free ones around? They're behind
Down to
you?
your left, there's gonna be that guy.
Oh, right there. Myers. Myers is gone.
Don't get too cute.
It's floating on its own.
Nice.
Overall,
Yeah.
Oh, no, crossfire.
almost finished.
Oh.
Fight hard.
Oh, you need to tell me you got one. Damn it.
I think everyone right now is like, hey, fine, Phoenix, that's it.
He's trying to slow it. Oh, he's coming. Oh, he jumped out the window. Fool him.
I want that one. I want that one. Keep behind the barrel.
Why am I always looking up? I know you. Got him.
Got him. Are you gonna get the team or not?
Got him. It's fine. A lot of time left.
I was escaping. Get over here.
Got him.
Ten people don't seek you.
Get a couple here. He's up to 7. 20 seconds left. Reload. Reload.
Or throw that, whatever. It stops and you Oh, wow. Flatten that tire. Oh. 7.
That's down.
7.
It was my last kill on that.
Ooh, was it the butt of the gun?
That's not a gimme.
This is it. Who's riding the bike for?
Which is complete BS.
For this or that.
For the people at home,
You should have saw the first attempt.
full disclosure, I annihilated.
Well, if you would have
game
messed
one.
up on the loadout, it would have got taken.
It's true. It was your fault that we had to do it again.
You're right.
Evans.
Overall, this is we run your own soldier.
You find the spots.
Maybe too tentative.
Clock's ticking. Clock's ticking. You gotta get out there and run. Shot clock. Shot clock. Delay game. Live. Oh, such a good move. Ooh, look at this heavy hitter. Two. Give me that. Wow, that's Give me a triple. Give me a triple.
Oh no, this thing takes forever to reload.
Little shotgun. Oh, did he give it to you? No, it's not gonna be the final kill. That would have been a nice final kill. So for this and that, Chris is gonna be on the mic.
Yes. Yeah.
Is the resistance set at all?
I don't know. I
We should put the resistance at the most amount of kills, which was 15.
It was 15 your first one?
Didn't I get 15 last one?
No, it's last
Last one was. Oh, it was? 13 was your first one?
13
Oh,
was the
okay.
first one.
He started off slow in that one. He only had a minute left, and he was actually behind me.
Yeah.
If you don't want to ride it,
You got a couple.
be better.
You got a
Be
couple.
better next time.
You got a couple.
Get it right.
You got a couple of cherry pick breakaway layups there at the end.
I did?
Yes.
Well, you got that. You got that freaking 50 caliber gun.
Oh, yeah,
Those
that-
three guys.
Listen, the
all
first
those
time
three
I
guys
got
are out of
the
fucking
first time I
going
got
for it.
13, it's not crazy to think I can't get 15 the next time.
Oh
Agreed.
no, you're definitely underplaying your skill at COD.
Sandbag
Sandbagging
is what we call it.
Sandbagging, LeBron fan.
I'm terrible.
I was not.
I'm terrible.
I'm good for it.
So this or that. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Dog or cat?
Dog, no question.
Dog.
Neither.
Neither. No,
Heartless.
yeah,
I know
that
you
doesn't
know,
surprise me. If you had a gun to your head though, and you said you have to take one of these, and they're a kitten and a puppy, which one do you have to? You have to take one. Which
I'm
one
gonna
would you
say
take?
A cat, because they both can grow up, and a dog is more annoying when they're older than a cat.
Cats are more independent.
Cats freak me out. Cats freak me out.
They freak me out too. I'd rather be attacked by a cat. I mean, a dog than a cat.
Well, I think, yeah, it's a lot more like
They're sneaky.
horror films with cats.
Yeah.
You have
They're
friends
sneaky.
over and they're creepy. They like peek around the corner.
Eye contact. Staring at you.
Or they're
Yeah.
underneath the couch and they.
Yeah, you grab your feet. I'm all set. Give me a dog.
Netflix or YouTube?
Obviously, YouTube TV, right?
Is that? I was gonna ask that question.
Yeah, we can include YouTube TV, but I mean that's gonna seem like you're gonna watch a lot more of that because that's now
Right.
everybody's cable. So
I'd probably watch Netflix more right now.
um,
Everything on YouTube. You can find the same stuff, I guess.
yeah, I probably spend equal time on both though. I probably actually spend more time on YouTube now during this than Netflix, but I think Netflix has the best content, has way better content.
I'm gonna say YouTube because that's what this show is on. So it's definitely the superior
Ding!
thing right now.
Can you brown your own nose?
I just did.
I can.
Call or text?
Text for sure.
Text.
Don't call me. I'll ignore and
Text.
text you.
Kobe or Shaq?
Leave that one off, Chris.
Huh?
Lead it off.
Kobe.
Kobe. I'm gonna go Shaq.
I'm gonna go. Their importance to the Lakers or as a career? Like who would I take to start a franchise?
Like even Shaq, if you think Shaq, you think Lakers. You don't think Magic.
I'm gonna go.
Right. Or
I'm gonna
Who
go
did he
Shaq.
finish with?
Heat
The Heat.
with a title. No, he didn't finish
He
with the Heat.
finished
He finished with the
with the
Celtics.
Oh, right.
which was
Yeah, I'm gonna say Shaq. But they're both top 10.
I just
all
like
time.
Shaq better. And I know, God love Kobe. I know he's passed away, and I don't mean that's come out as harsh. But even when he was alive and in his prime, and playing, I just like Shaq better.
Shaq is the most unstoppable force in the history of the NBA in their prime.
Agreed. Toilet paper, over or under?
I think in my house it's over.
Do you make it a point though? I mean,
No,
when you
I
got to change the role, you thinking
Yes,
about that?
I
You do?
I flip it around.
I will
Get it
now.
over.
It's got to be over.
Under's a crime.
I think over is less chance for it to be dangling so long. When it's under, it seems
keeps
like
going.
yeah, it seems like
Doesn't
it's.
stop it.
So you're over?
I'm over.
Over. Yeah, I feel like I'm over, but
Over wins.
I'll take
People in the
Shaq.
middle understand wire side out.
What?
Wire side out.
Wire side.
You got
out.
wire in your toilet
Like how
paper?
you start the.
You know, so you got a reel of paper, and you, wire side out is over.
Oh.
Felt side out, which means is the part that was hitting the felt would go under.
Paper mill.
Yeah, that's what I
Reference.
said. Paper mill people that understand the difference. Wire side out or felt side
I
out.
bet all paper mill workers actually do their toilet paper that way because of that.
Right, probably.
That's probably
Probably
true.
all say wire side out.
Right?
Don't spin it.
I
Wire
know
side
Brian
out.
does. Friends or Seinfeld?
Is it me?
Go ahead.
This is a big moment for me.
It is.
So, I haven't seen an episode of Seinfeld. And I'm embarrassed to say it. I'm going to get attacked for it. Probably more than I was attacked for LeBron over MJ.
You should be.
So, because of that, I have to go Friends.
It's a solid choice. I mean, both shows were great, honestly. But if I could only have one to binge, it would be Seinfeld.
Definitely Seinfeld. We used to have Seinfeld nights in college.
They
Yeah.
don't have Jennifer Aniston, though.
Yeah, but you don't have Kramer. Kramer was the man.
I wouldn't know.
I cannot believe you. I cannot.
I'm going to apologize to
You would love Kramer.
to Brian and Connor Hassan.
Oh, he's a big
Seinfeld
Seinfeld
too.
guy.
Yeah, he would.
Who do you
He
think's a
made
bigger
he made
Seinfeld
deep-
guy, Chris? Connor Hassan
Connor.
or Brian?
Brian.
I can't. I'd put Brian up against
Brian knows
anybody.
every line from every show.
Connor, maybe, yeah, probably Brian.
We
but
gotta get
I bet
down.
Connor would
Right,
be.
you should
We gotta
on
get
here,
him. We gotta get him
little
on and
contest.
quiz him.
Connor may
That's happening.
unfriend me or unfollow me on Twitter because of that, but
Because what?
because I haven't seen Seinfeld.
Aren't you guys boys?
Yeah,
He doesn't
but-
know you haven't
but
seen
I haven't-
Seinfeld?
I haven't. This is the first.
What other
time
secrets do you guys keep
First
to
time
each
I've
other?
made it public.
Oh, really? So he thinks.
If we want to keep going, the first time I've seen Space Jam in my life was 3 nights ago.
Ooh, rabbit hole. Let's keep going. Boxers or briefs? Boxer briefs. That's all I wear is boxer briefs. I would never be able to put another pair of normal briefs on ever again. Boxers never get into the freeness. Boxer briefs all day long.
Yeah, boxer briefs.
I'm saying box of briefs.
Yeah.
So neither? Is that the
Tough one,
answer?
right?
Yes, but if you had to
Or
choose,
combo?
I guess.
If you had to
there's briefs
choose.
like whitey tighties.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
what briefs are?
Yes.
So I had to choose. I'm going boxers.
Whitey tighties or
Did you
tighty
ever wear
whities?
those?
Tighty, whitey tighties or tighty whities? I have never. Well, maybe when I was like 6. I don't know.
Because growing up as kids, boxers weren't even an option. That's all we had were tighty whities. They didn't have boxer briefs, and I never even wore my first pair of boxers, I think, until after, at least in high school.
That must have been like freeing.
You didn't know it. Freeing, and I think it was such a drastic change that I couldn't do it.
We
Because
also have kids.
yeah, and we also had kids.
So I'll go with boxers if I have to pick between the two.
Yeah,
I would go with boxers.
I would go with boxers too. Shot clock or no shot clock?
Shot clock.
I'm definitely shot clock, but I think everybody always thinks because it's gonna like make the game better. But I'm not sure how much better it would get. But it's definitely gonna clean up like the fourth quarter ending game stuff.
Yeah, we
Get rid of the foul and
we
stuff.
play with it. We play with it at the Christmas tournament, and the only time it really comes into play is end of quarters. Obviously, I don't think too many teams. There are some, obviously, that do the stalling tactic
Don't look at me.
to their advantage. But I don't think
One
that.
time.
I don't think it would be a huge impact on the game. I think there's a lot of other things that impact the game, and the shot clock is just a small little piece of it.
But you would take it if you had to choose.
Oh yeah, I would definitely shot clock, but I just don't think you would see that huge of an impact. There'd just be a lot bad basketball more quickly.
Initially.
Yeah. Craft or domestic beer?
Craft.
Craft.
I love Millie's answer.
Yeah, that's the right
That's
answer.
perfect answer.
That's the right answer.
Craft for taste, domestic
Taste
for
the
quality.
craft, yeah.
That's the right answer. Rodgers or Brady? Again, this isn't the Tom Brady episode.
I'm just saying it. I feel like I'm wasting my breath with this one, so I'll say Brady, but
if you asked me,
And you hate Rodgers.
I know. I mean, Rodgers destroys Detroit every year, and so much of it, I just think, is just complete luck. Calls. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw the Green Bay Detroit game this year. It was an absolute hose job. I think it's tightened up for me with Brady leaving the Patriots and going to Tampa. Anyone that knows me is going to be shocked to hear that I'm taking Brady here.
anyone with a brain knows you're right.
Rodgers.
You don't even know.
Everybody said he had an off year last
You know what?
year. He had
Okay,
26 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And he had an off year.
Yeah, and
4
Brady,
interceptions.
same thing with Brady. He had 7 interceptions. He's off the cliff.
But Rodgers plays in a better conference.
Oh,
Better
no
division.
question there, right?
You know what?
No question there,
And a
right?
You know what?
conference.
No question there, right?
This is a larger gap. This one is a larger gap than LeBron and MJ.
I don't think so.
This is a bigger gap.
You
than
think
those
so,
two.
but I don't.
Anyway, moving on. We're gonna get down
He
that
also,
rabbit
he
hole.
also has better stats in the playoffs than Brady. So
All right,
Yeah,
so
it's 4 playoff
easy. Not now. Not now. That's the episode for this or that.
well done. Thank God.
Yes. Chris can get off.
Get a towel.